don't screw this up. Here we go. When are we ready? Did we already start? Are we already recording? Oh, great. Okay. Hey, thanks for being here live. Yeah. Can't wait to disappoint you all. So it's going to be fantastic. This is how janky I am. Listen, let's start this thing right. Let's see if this works. Oh, wait, I have it on 1.5 speed. There it is. Yeah. Oh, it was a previous episode. Hey, welcome to the Tuesday Night Podcast. I'm your host for this evening, Alan Gerding, and the Tuesday Night Podcast is all about the podcast, about the stories we make on, around, and under the gaming table, as we like to say. But we have a live audience here, so yay! Yeah. That's awesome because that was so loud. It makes it sound like there's way more people here than there are. Man, standing room only in this room. My goodness. What is there, like 200 of you? It's crazy. All of SHUX is here. 300. All right. Well, I'm going to be rambling a lot, so hopefully my guests will come on up and help me. Let me ask the audience a few questions first. How is SHUX so far? You guys enjoying it? Okay. Let me talk about my 5th favorite thing first, and then we'll go on. Let's talk about me a little bit. So I've been really busy at SHUX. I just did a 7-hour stint of 2 Rooms and a Boom, and yesterday before that, I did, 5 hours of a whole bunch of prototyping, which was terrifying because these are games totally untested. But I'm going to crush on all of the SHUX attendees for a second, so bear with me. I'm going to say most incredible group that I've ever had by far. And no offense to those that have come to like Gen Con, 2 Rooms and a Boom events, and all these other events. But for instance, this is just the archetypical example. I'll play 2 Rooms and a Boom. At the end of the game, everyone has a character card. They turn in the character card. Inevitably, at least a few people start just throwing it at the table and it goes everywhere. This group very diligently put their cards back where they're supposed to. I had so many people come up and ask, hey, do you need any food? Are you guys okay? Everything. It was the most civil thing. I thought there was train wrecks going on as far as some of the play testing, but everyone's like, oh no, that was good. I think they were just lying to me to be nice, and that's fantastic. So thank you so much for lying to me. Continue it. I enjoy it. But what we're going to do tonight is I have a whole bevy of guests, if you will, and I'm going to call them up, and we're going to do a little bit of speed dating interview. Because this is the stories, this is the option. So it's like speed dating meets choose your own adventure. So these are the options of the guests that I call up here. We want to hear either your best gaming story or maybe even better yet, your best SHUX story since we've been here. Because this is pretty much, we're like over the hill now with SHUX. Wouldn't you guys say that? As far as like this is, after this evening, tomorrow, everyone's going to wake up and be like, maybe you'll attend some panels. You're not going to attend any panels? For the listeners at home, someone in the audience went, no. One thing I've learned when doing these live recordings is that people cannot hear the audience very well unless it's a whole bunch of people. But I know tomorrow at 9 a.m., shameless little promo here, there is the psychology of why we play. So if you guys are awake enough, come back here. I'm going to be with Matt Lees, and we're going to talk about why we play games. So that'll be interesting, why you're here. But I derailed. Let me come back on the track. So the other adventures they can choose, we said SHUX story. We can do best answers to listeners' questions. I like that idea. Scary story, personal story. Because it's October. In October, we like to do scary stories. So if you're willing to share and be vulnerable and tell a time that you've been really scared, that would be awesome. And I think as a respectful group, we promise we won't make fun of you for being scared of, whatever you were scared of. There's also the elevator pitches. Oh, man. So let's be honest really quick. Who here is actually a knave or a knight that has listened to the podcast before? Who's never listened to the show before in their life? Whoa, that's more people. More people have never heard this podcast before. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on becoming a knave. A Tuesday knave is someone who listens in. And if you submit your audio, we can knight you and you can become a knight. But we have some staples in this podcast. One of them is Captain Chessbeard, not here. Another one is my business partner, Sean McCoy, who helped me design 2 Rooms and a Boom, not here. But also the elevator pitch, where someone explains the soul of a game within a minute. And for bonus points, if they do a character, it's even better. Crowd favorite is like Christopher Walken or Arnold Schwarzenegger, but we can, maybe go to the audience. Or if you have a good impersonation, I'm sure none of the guests are going to choose the elevator pitch because of this. Last but not least, interview wars. We interview each other, and we see who's the better interviewer. Plot spoiler, it's probably going to be you, but... Okay, with that being said, since we have so many guests, I have to put a time limit on here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. And I think we don't want 2 hours since this is a 1-hour podcast. I'm going to say every guest is going to have a nice, crisp, lucky 7 minutes. I hear some claps. Thanks. If you find something clap-worthy, even if it's not, just please feel free to clap. And yes! Oh, man. Okay. We're going to start with the first guest, as I know her name to be Pip. Come on up, Pip. The time has started.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's do this. Pip, you've never been on the podcast before. Yes?
I haven't.
No, you haven't been. So what we're going to always start with all of our guests on this evening's podcast is you get a 10-second resume. Basically, convince us to care about you.
Oh, God.
Go.
I'm a friend of Shut Up and Sit Down, and that's kind of why you're here, so I'm really, really banking on the fact of that connection.
Your 10 seconds is up. 5 bonus seconds. Go.
Oh, also, I'm deputy editor of PC Gamer.
Time's up, so
yeah.
thank you so much. All right. Yay! I do have some questions, though.
Oh, God.
I know you as Pip. What's your actual full name?
Philippa Elizabeth Angela Warr.
Nice, yeah.
It doesn't fit on forms.
No. Do you mind being called Pip?
No, that's so much easier.
All right. Probably the main question, and I'm going to guess most people will want to know this, especially the knaves at home. What the hell does friend of Shut Up and Sit Down mean?
It kind of means that I was available to play things like Twilight Imperium with them and wouldn't fall out with them because we were already friends. And then that seemed to go okay, so they actually kept inviting me back. And I brought hats and props, so,
Nice. Well, you're here, and I'm going to crush on you a little bit. Every interaction I've had with you, amazing. So, yeah, because you were there during the 2 Rooms and a Boom Shut Up and Sit Down play.
At Gen Con.
Yeah, at Gen Con. Nice. You remember. You were there. That's great. Thank you very much. All right.
That's one up on all films I've seen. I'm just like, that was lovely. I don't remember a thing.
Yeah, I was supposed to, you guys told me they wanted me, Matt said, palm the cards so that Pip, you were supposed to be like the president and Quinn's was supposed to be the bomber. I said, no problem. But plot spoiler again, I'm an idiot, totally forgot. And I was like, but by coincidence, you ended up being the president anyway, if I remember, or the bomber.
I was the bomber.
Yeah, the bomber, just by pure coincidence. Anyway, we have 4 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm leaving it right here so you can see it too, so that way the pressure's on. Choose your own time on this podcast. Do you have a gaming story, SHUX story? You probably can't read my horrible handwriting. Elevator pitch?
I can't do accents, and that's not even a joke. This does not end well for anybody.
Okay.
But there are some scary stories, maybe, but I don't know how well they'll reflect on me. But
the worse they reflect on the teller, I think the better universally. So, all right, Halloween time. I don't have the magic of editing here, which is the terrifying thing, because I spend a lot of time editing the podcast to make myself sound smarter. So. If I was editing, cue scary music, go.
That was the wind, but that really didn't work.
Well,
anyway.
Let's let the audience see the wind. I heard some wind over there. Where's the wind, audience?
Picture the scene. It's dark, dead of night. I'm walking alone on my way home. Suddenly, I realize I can hear footsteps behind me. I'm walking along. Feet are walking almost directly behind me. I'm like, this is weird. So I kind of stop because I don't really want to turn around because I'm kind of like, okay, this could end badly. So I keep walking. Then I stop. Footsteps stop. Walk. Hear them. Footsteps. I look behind me. There's no one there. I'm like, okay. So I speed up. The footsteps speed up.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. That's the scariest thing. You looked behind you and there was nobody
There was
there.
no one there. I crossed the road.
Where is this?
Footsteps are still.
I'm
It was
totally
just on
ruining
my
your
way
story.
home. No, it was.
Where's home? Like your address? No, I'm just kidding. That was creepy. That's
Well,
that's the scariest part of the story.
postcode.
That's Pip where she lives.
And then I stopped. Everything had stopped. I turned around, nothing behind me. Looked to the sides, nothing to the sides. I realized there was an apple in my bag and it was moving the same pace that I was moving.
It reminds me of the Quest for the Holy Grail, where they take the coconuts and then, so it was the apples. Oh my goodness!
I've never been that freaked out or that embarrassed.
Wow, embarrassed. Who was there to see you?
It was mostly just that I was like, oh, this is actually a really good story, so clearly I'm going to tell it. I don't come out of this at all now. But I got an apple, so I guess. Winner? So,
Wow.
yeah.
Very nice. So you have bonus time. Scariest game, because we have this common thread in the October that we talk about in this podcast. Is there actually a scary game, like a game you play where you're really scared? Can you think of any?
So I hope this doesn't sound like a cop-out, but there's games that I am afraid to play in case I fall out with friends over them, because there are people that take particular games incredibly seriously.
Resistance.
And so, like, I'll only go, okay, yeah, if we must, when I'm like, when everyone has kind of agreed to the terms, because I'm like, oh, we're not going through that again. So, yeah.
Are you going to name the game or no? Just
I'll name the person Brendan Caldwell. Friend of the show.
another friend of the show won't play some specific games with because...
There have been betrayals. There have been certain people were sitting on certain syringes to clear certain, zombification things.
Oh.
And yeah, there were, and certain other people said that they would save, for example, me. In a particular situation, and then decided to hide under a car and just didn't. That was. I've maybe made this slightly too obvious of a story.
No, this is great. This is fantastic. All right. Well, with the 45 seconds left, I'm going to go ahead and do a curveball here. An audience question. You ready for this?
Sure.
Best flavor of the candy. Boom.
Oh,
Wait, we have to repeat it. Remember, lesson learned.
Best flavor of the candy that is habituated on the desks, and it is definitely the pear.
The pear. Oh, nice. Shut up
Not
and sit
even
down.
just like as a shut up and sit down
legit,
reference,
it is the
but
pear.
it is, yeah, that
You're
is
not
the
just
best.
shilling out, shut up
No,
and sit down.
seriously. Although now I've told you this, I really trust you, so do not come and pick all of the pears out. Leave a few for me for tomorrow, because I need them. I need these things.
Yes. Were we all there for the opening? Everyone was there for the opening? Okay, so in case you weren't, for the one or two or none of you that weren't there for the opening, you stole all the candies. Oh,
Stole.
that's the time. I chose duck. I don't know why. Okay, thank you so much, man.
No
Yay! All right. Here's what's really exciting. I've just met some of these guests at this show. So let's go to, how about we do an artist next? I'm talking about you, Kwanchai. Come on up here. The time has started.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi, how's it going, Alan?
it's going well. I'm doing a podcast.
I just put eye drops in my eyes to prepare, but I didn't know it was coming up next. No, I can't really see.
I could send you back if you want, and we can do this.
No, I have my notes here.
Oh, you have your
It's
notes.
fine.
Wow. Way more prepared than I was for this own podcast. That's hilarious. You ready for your 10-second resume?
Okay.
Go.
I am the artist for Catacombs, Kodama, Flip Chips, Capital Lux, Dinosaur Island, Coaster Park, Favelas, Einstein, Days of Ire, Kepler 3042, and the new Board Game Geek Galaxy Trucker poster.
Shoo. Nice. I can almost guarantee we've seen your art before, especially if you're at this con or expo, whatever they're trying to call it, SHUX 2017. Another story about myself, so sorry. I've been taking pictures and doing hashtags of SHUX. Apparently it's SHUX 2017. I didn't know that rule. Thank you, Nicole. Anyway, you did the poster.
I did, yes.
Anyone compliment the poster?
Nobody.
Nobody can.
No. No, a lot of people have said really nice things. It's really flattering.
Yeah,
honestly.
in fact, everyone here is wearing a badge that has the pair hero that you did. That's amazing.
Thank you. No, it was a really cool opportunity.
In fact, I'm not sure if anyone's applauded. Let's go ahead and applaud that alone right there. Yes! Okay.
Thank you.
You ready to choose your own? By the way, I hope
think
all
so.
of you will come onto the podcast for a full time on the podcast afterwards. So this is just a preview of what we could experience. Our relationship can deeper. All right, there I go, getting creepy again. Here we go. What would you like to choose? Best gaming story, best answers to listeners' questions, a SHUX story, scary personal story?
I have a scary story, but it's a little embarrassing, but I'll share it with you if you like.
I'm starting to think all scary stories have to be embarrassing at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. All right, really quick for the audience. My nightmares never have monsters in them. They're always social situations like, oh, I'm naked, or I'm doing a podcast in front of people. Anyone still have nightmares with monsters? Yeah, shout it out if you do. Yeah, don't be embarrassed. Yeah, some of you have. All right, cool. Anytime I have a monster nightmare, then I'm thinking, oh, cool, this is a sweet dream. Monsters exist. This is fun. Don't let me. I'm wasting your time. I'm so sorry.
No,
Go for
you're
it.
good. Okay, so the story begins at a dark and scary summer camp where I was staffing. This is years ago, and we had staff meeting at night, and we did our meeting, and then we have to go back to the camps, our cabins. And this campsite is a different campsite than we had normally used for our program, and it was built on the side of the hill. And it was really dark, so the only sources of light were the main hall, and then there's a light, like one single bulb at each cabin, which at the time felt like hundreds of yards away. It probably wasn't that far.
Why were you walking out and just hanging out?
We had to walk back to our cabins.
Just from what?
From the meeting. So the whole camp
Okay.
has gone to bed for the day.
I'm with you.
And there's some weird stuff that had happened at this campsite.
Okay.
Like the day before, a bunch of us were walking back to the cabin, heard like a scream, some girl screaming, and found out the next day there was some creepy thing where she saw some shadow in the trail, and it like had elbows and was like scuttling away. It's really freaky. I'm very scared of the dark. I used to be very scared of the dark. And this is years ago, right? And so anyway, we're walking back to the cabin, and so all these weird things have happened. Amongst them, the blood
Tension's
curdling
high.
scene. Yeah, tension's very high. I'm walking with a friend, and that friend and I are getting very scared because it is extra quiet tonight, and everyone is in their cabins. Walking and walking and walking, my friend starts to sing the Totoro song, if you know that one.
No, I don't think any
Okay.
of us know that song.
It goes, Tonari no Totoro, Totoro. He's singing it, right? We're singing it, and we lock arms, and we're going up the trail. And, okay, so the trail is, on one side is a hill, on the other side is a steep drop-off. At night, it's just pitch black. We're walking.
Depth perception,
I'm on the
not a
right
good
side.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're just at the cabin, and the light is starting to light the area around us. And from my right side, I feel what feels like a blood-curdling like scream, like "Boo-ah, ah." And so you know, I have my issues with religion and God and all those things now, but in that moment, I was like, there's spirits and I'm going to hell. Like instantly I was like, there's ghosts and I am dead, and my spirit's gonna be dragged into the ground in some unearthly realm. And the next thing I remember is I came to, and there was just like a bunch of dudes just like laughing all around me. And my friend is like just cursing out whoever had just scared
Screamed,
us.
yeah.
Anyway, found out that was a bunch of guys had just like,
Right.
pranked us.
But that was was that the most scared you've ever been? As far as like
That
spook
was
scare?
like, there's fight or flight, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
they taped the whole thing, which is the funny thing.
Is this on YouTube?
No, this is
Oh.
years ago.
Okay.
And they done it to every person coming back from staff meeting that night.
Oh.
And so you see a bunch of kids walking up from the thing, and the video camera's rolling, and my friend, he's actually a close friend of ours, jumped out in a scream mask from the right side and just jumped at them. and most of the people are like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, and they
just
jump
back off.
Jump
yeah.
back. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
So people come up. Oh crap! Walk away.
Yeah.
Pair comes up.
You can swear. Is it okay if we swear on this podcast? It's all right, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be family friendly, but the actual podcast is explicit, so don't worry. I saw you recover. You're good. It's fine.
Well, the funny thing is that you can hear me and my friend coming before you see us because we're singing the Totoro song. And then when we come into view, all the other guys, the natural reaction is to jump to the right and then look at the thing scaring you and then just like flail a little bit, but just move away. We come up, you can hear us singing, and Andrew, my friend, jumps out, and both of our reactions is to our knees literally crumple and we just fall on the ground without looking at what came. It was really, really embarrassing, and that video did the rounds for a long time, just all over the campground.
Oh man! And you guys were the highlight since they filmed all these. This is like you made the highlight reel.
Like to this, like my birthday, recently.
Oh no!
Oh, sorry.
Keep going. No, finish this. I'm too into it.
Even at my birthday recently, it came up as a joke. Like, remember that time? And no one has to complete the sentence because everyone
Right.
remembers the.
The best part of that story to me, and I'm so sorry, is that your knee-jerk response is, "I'm gonna be dragged to hell."
It's crazy. Like, you know, you think like, I don't believe in that stuff, and you're like, I believe in that stuff. Instantly.
in the moments. But that's the conclusion. Like, all right, so there's this ongoing joke. I've made this game, Cause of Death Ghost. Anyone ever play Cause of Death Ghost? No? Oh, one person, Tyler. Yes. Nice name. Anyways, Cause of Death Ghost, it was a game we gave away for free. And the reason we call it Cause of Death Ghost is, let's go to CSI. You've seen CSI or any of these things,
yep.
crime scene investigation. You're looking at the morgue. How many times has this happened, Kwanchai? How many times have they looked at the body and said, cause of death? Ghost. Another one. It's dragged to hell.
Dragged to hell.
It's totally irrational. Like, I understand that it would be like heart failure or something like that. But seriously, Kwanchai, thank you so much. That was a great story. All right. Mike, you want to come up next? Let's do this, Mike. All right. Whew. I'm excited. Mike, we just met today, basically.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Alan Gerding, and this is the
it's
choosing.
a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, too. I'm not sure if you remember this. Quick story. Oh, I have to start the timer. My bad.
You can start it.
All right, here we go.
Oh, we're only at 1 minute? Oh, I guess I got to go soon. I'm sorry.
No problem. You can leave whenever you want.
No,
I don't
I'm
like
staying
to.
here forever.
I'm not sure if you realize. Do you remember when it was today? You were going about to go up
when
the
it was
elevator. It was today. Do you remember today?
I
You were
do.
going up in an elevator, and I was about to go down an elevator, but there was this awkward moment where elevators opened.
Yes, it was great.
It was great.
Yeah, we sort of waved across the elevator, like
I was just like,
across the hallway,
hey.
like just to say, I know you. You go up elevators, but I also go down elevators. Like we have this bond.
Yeah.
We could swap roles.
Right, like, I've been where you're going.
Yeah.
It's okay up there.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was just one of these things.
was really
Boom,
good.
the doors open. We're at some random floor, and we're looking at each other. See you later.
It's the closest I've ever
Yeah.
been to another human being.
Well, I got to be creepy with. I got to be creepy with all my guests. I totally know who you are. I doubt you know who I am.
I know who you are.
You know who I am?
Yeah.
No way! I feel amazing.
This is the worst. What was it? What did you call it? Interview.
Interview, yeah, sure.
Interview swap or whatever it was.
Yeah, interview war. What
War,
did I
yeah,
write?
it's the-
Interview wars.
Literally the worst of that I've ever heard.
I don't know. Yeah, it's tomato. You know, I think
All right.
it's like watching the Olympics.
You
You hope
continue
that
to-
someone does horrible.
You continue to talk about me. That sounds great.
No, sorry, you're not getting out of your 10-second resume. You ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Betrayal at House on the Hill, Pathfinder Adventure card game, Lords of Vegas, Apocrypha, Unspeakable Words. How'd I do?
Oh, sorry about that. Keep going.
Axis and Allies revised, Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition. How much longer do I have to
No,
just
that's
list my own games?
insane. That's insane. In fact, I've never gotten to applaud you in person before, so if you guys don't mind indulging me,
I don't mind.
yeah. You're a big deal.
I'm a big deal.
Now, we talked before this, and you decided, we talked about
Yeah.
what kind of story you want to share, and you said, well, I can share a story about an old game,
Whatever
a
you
new
want.
game. I want one of both, if
want
that's
one of
possible.
both.
Let's go, like, old game.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do it's Halloween, right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
let's talk about. So you said earlier, like, can you possibly have a scary game?
Yeah.
I mean, like, well, I'm hoping to continue to make a living doing that. So, obviously with Betrayal at House on the Hill and with Apocrypha and stuff like that, my goal is actually to scare people,
To
right?
actually be scared.
Yeah, absolutely. But I did want to make one game that was a horror game that was not scary. And so, and we did make it. It's called Unspeakable Words. It's a game. It's a game where you lose sanity as you make words and so forth. But I said I start out wanting that, but I didn't, because in my design process, the following occurred. I went to my friend Monty Cook's house. He had a little party there. It was great.
Name drop.
And we played. Okay, I went to my friend who has no name's house.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
And no one was there of any importance. And so, and we played Arkham Horror, but I'm talking about the original Arkham Horror, the pace setter version, not the dusted up,
Right, the highly flawed rules.
Yeah,
where it's
the one,
basically
I mean, nobody from Fantasy Flight's going to be on this podcast, so I mean, it's just terrible, right? So, but what they did to that game. Anyway, the point is, we played this game, and I died on turn 2 because I went walking in the Dreamlands with a Thakwo and watched everybody else play for an hour after that point. I'm sure that hasn't been fixed in the Fantasy Flight version. Anyway, the point being,
this is one of my favorite interviews ever. You're really selling yourself short. This is great.
And then we played Scrabble, but not an ordinary Scrabble. We played a six game version of Scrabble, all where the boards sort of united with each other, so you could like jump from board to board and power little power ups all over. Anyway, played that and it was all good. And I went home and I went to sleep because it was a long day playing games. And I woke up with Unspeakable Words fully done in my head.
And
Like
so
it was
lightning
just a
strike.
dream. I dreamed the whole game, the scoring system, how the things go, and I scrambled for a pen. Right, I wrote it down, and sure enough, we published that game. And so
I've seen it. I've played it. Yeah.
So I mean, if you say I'm a big deal, right? I can design games in my dreams.
Oh,
Right? So in fact, I think he's better. I think the guy, the designer in my dreams,
Nice.
is way better than I am, and I'm just trying to catch up to that guy.
My goodness. All right, so that's one of your old games.
one of my old
Unspeakable Words. That's a good story. That's a good story.
It's a good story.
I totally made 2 rooms and a boom up in my dreams too.
You're
I
a
don't know.
liar.
Not really.
You're
no.
a liar.
Yeah, it's such a liar. You're full time though, obviously. Yes. No.
As a human?
no, as a game designer.
Yes, I am
Yes.
full time. I own a company. We have We have about a half dozen other full-time game designers who work on games full-time.
What was your life before game design? What did you do?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's always been game design.
No,
You came out of the womb like,
I
design
designed my
games.
first game when I was 11 years old. It was called So this is an old game story. I was given an assignment by my teacher. We went to the Tutankhamun exhibit, right?
Yeah.
And I designed a game called So You Want to Be the Pharaoh. Right? It's about the egalitarian process of becoming a pharaoh in ancient Egypt, right? You start out, it's a scroll, again, not Fantasy Flight level.
I love the Fantasy Flight.
Not Fantasy
It's
Flight
more
level.
names.
But like a scroll, it's a scroll. It's like a 3-foot long scroll that you have to like tamp down with like glasses on both ends to all the ends to play. It spells out the word Egypt in squares, starting on the left-hand side. It goes, and you like go and you get to like at the top of the G is the Egyptian casino, because they had lots of casinos in Egypt, and
Right, of course.
and so you're working your way from being a peasant all the way up to being pharaoh, because that's how it worked.
Right.
And I was even thinking about game design then, so I had to like make up the existence of the 4-sided die because it didn't exist. So I made these
Wait,
pyramids.
so this game predates the
Dungeons and
4-sided
Dragons,
die?
yeah.
Okay.
So I had to make a 4-sided die.
How did you do it?
I
Is it
made
the
it out of
pyramid?
card. Yeah. No, well, it's not. It's a tetrahedron, obviously, not a pyramid. Come
I'm
on.
so sorry.
I'm
Sorry.
very good at
Wow.
this job. So.
So ashamed.
No, I took some corrugated cardboard. I stuck 4 panels of triangles together, and you would roll the die, and then you would pick it up and look at the bottom, because that's where the number was, of course.
Right, that's
Right?
the right way to do
Yeah,
it.
and so the final thing I want to say about this game is, as you went through the game, you went to the top of the T, right? And then, again, thinking very much about game design, I would, you'd roll the 4-sided die, and if you rolled a 1, you started over.
Whoa, very fun.
You went all the way back to the
Very
beginning,
fun.
like 90 spaces early, like 45
A 1 in
turns
4
earlier.
chance.
Yeah, 45 turns have gone by.
You really got to
lost.
earn that.
That's
pharaoh.
right. Yeah. So that's.
Please tell me you still have this game.
Oh, absolutely.
You still have this game?
Yeah. I just turned 50 years old. Like.
Congratulations on
yes,
50 years
I lived
old.
through 50. And I figured that my gift. my gift to myself. I don't know what it is. My celebration of
You're
that.
going to publish this game.
I'm at least going to release the PDF version of a 3-foot-long scroll, which you have to roll up and tamp down with water glasses to play.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So good. I'm not sure if you heard the duck. We're out of time.
Oh, I heard the duck.
You heard the duck.
I was offended by the existence of the
The
duck.
duck. I can change it if you want to, but that will take more time. Thank you so much. This is so good. All right. Thank you so much. You got to come back. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Jonathan, you nervous as I am? Get on up here. Yes.
Wait, are you guys from Fantasy Flight?
Well, we'll find out.
I didn't even know.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Jonathan, I got to start this time here.
Do you?
Yes.
that's fair.
Jonathan, you've always struck me as someone who's incredibly nice. I can't imagine anyone saying anything bad about you, but
Yeah.
that'll be my question. What's the worst thing someone said to you? But first, 10-second resume, go.
All right, so I designed Star Wars Imperial Assault, Doom the board game, Game of Thrones trivia, and I've done development work on Forbidden Stars, Battlelore, and a bunch of other stuff, and my most recent game is Bargain Quest, which was launched on Kickstarter.
Nice. Very nice. Okay,
All right.
but I don't understand, Jonathan. Some of those games you mentioned, I think, are from Fantasy Flight.
Yes, Fantasy Flight games. Why? Have you heard, what have you heard about Fantasy
I've
Flight?
heard of them just recently. So,
Who would dare besmirch a former employer of mine? I don't know.
I don't know, but former employers.
Yeah,
So
it's true, it's
boom,
true.
You're in the safe
Yeah,
zone. There you go, Mike.
I'm out. I couldn't cut that Minnesota winter, man. It was
That's why you got out of there?
too
Seriously?
cold.
Is that legit? The reason you left Minnesota was because of the winter?
Well, the main reason that I left was because my partner, who I had a 6-year long distance relationship with, we were done with the long distance thing, and she was getting her PhD in San Diego. So I figured, this is a good idea. Like, let's, move in together in Southern California where we don't get weather.
Right.
you know.
Right. Let's take a desert and irrigate
Right.
it.
We got
paradise.
3 seasons, right? Spring, summer, and bonus summer.
Yes. Very nice. Where are you originally from?
I grew up in Los Angeles, actually.
Okay, so
it
the
was kind
snow
of-
thing is just
right. I was
totally-
not ready when I went to Minnesota. Like I was like, okay, how bad could it be, right?
Yeah.
And then first year I was there, polar vortex. That was
Nice.
it was not a good look.
Do
I
you-
was like, I have
any
a
of you
windbreaker.
Any of you from Minnesota? Any of you from?
Any of you
Oh, we
from
got
Frozen
one
North?
back there. Nice.
Beyond the Wall, I believe.
Beyond the wall.
Yeah.
Anyone from the snow belt in the audience? Snow belt? Anyone just wow, there's so few of us. What is it with snow? You'd think there'd be more gamers
Yeah.
from the snowy areas, because right? Like, what do you do? We gotta hunker down, play some games. I'm rambling. All right. Choose your own interview, sir. Best gaming story, answers to listeners' questions. Maybe we'll do that if we have more time. You can choose that right now if you want. SHUX story, scary personal story.
What's so with the elevator pitch? Do you tell me what game I pitch or who I'm pitching
No,
to?
you
How's
choose
it-
what game. Like, what, for instance, Kickstarter,
Oh,
right?
right, yeah, well.
Your game that you just came out with. And the name of it again?
Bargain Quest.
Bargain Quest, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is already pimped out a lot at the first day because Matt Lees was basically just oozing all over about how fun it was. And he
It's
didn't have
really
the-
validating emotionally, yes.
Yes. Yes, when someone oozes. But before I ask you, do you have a best impersonation?
I mean, I've basically got 2 that I am possibly capable of.
Are you willing to let the audience choose who you're going to be? if you
Sure,
give them
let's
two
go
options?
with it. Let's go with it. All right, so I've got 2 options. One is Mickey Mouse.
Whoa.
2 is Leonardo DiCaprio's character from the film The Quick and the Dead.
That's so specific. That's so specific. Oh my goodness. All right. Who says Leo? Leo. Oh yeah. Okay. Everyone says Leo. Who says Mickey Mouse? No one. Okay. Here we go. You have 1 minute to explain Bargain Quest, and I will cut you off with a ding. It's a big elevator. We're actually at a pretty big hotel. How many floors are there in this hotel?
30
All of
something.
them. Okay. Oh, well, an audience member said all of them. Going
Too
with that.
many.
All right. Are you ready, sir? Are you ready, Sir Leo? He hasn't been knighted yet, but maybe he will be. Ding! Go.
Hello, everyone. So I've got 1 minute to pitch this game to y'all. Now, in the game of Bargain Quest, you are a shopkeeper All right, you are trying to sell items to heroic adventurers. Not as heroic as myself, of course. I am, as you all know, the fastest gun in the West, known as the Kid. I'm also the fastest gun in the East or the North. Haven't been to the South yet, but I'm getting there. At any rate, in this game, you will be a capitalist hero serving the American dream by serving up folks the weapons and equipment they need to save your town from monsters, all right? And other shops, they may try and step to you, but you will show them what's what, or you will show them the barrel of a gun. Or at least that's what I would do in this situation. I am not sure if that is in the game. I do not believe. At any rate, I do believe that you will find no finer entertainment options on a tabletop here or anywhere else in the world, even Sweden.
Ding! Oh my goodness. Jonathan, here's what I love about this so much. Just by chance, Quick and the Dead is one of my favorite movies that so many people have never even seen before. Who
Sam
here has
Raimi.
seen Quick and the Dead? Yeah, it's
Oh,
Sam
hey, there you
Raimi.
go.
Yeah, Sam Raimi. I mean, just the most ludicrous thing.
Sam Raimi doing like a spaghetti western anime tournament arc. It's like
Right.
nothing I don't like. All those words are my favorite words. Spaghetti, western. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, Spotted Horse. is a
really
character.
good.
It's really good. This
Spotted
is how
horse cannot
Spotted
be
Horse
killed by a
can't be
bullet.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I know. This is all good for the 3 of us in this room that have seen this movie. Sharon Stone in her like least sexy role, which was
Hey, I mean, she is an amazing gunslinger. It's like Sharon Stone, Russell Crowe.
Gene Hackman.
The cast is Keith David.
Yeah, it's so good.
The cast is
so-
amazing. Go see it.
Yeah, go. What are we doing, guys? Podcast is over. We got a screen. Anyway, sorry. You want some questions?
Sure, yeah.
All right, because we have a minute left. Anyone have any questions for Jonathan? Yes, over there.
What's the answer to the Theon question?
Oh, hey!
Oh, yes!
That is a throwback.
It is a throwback. Go explain it, Jonathan. What is that a throwback to?
So
Paint the picture.
I did the Game of Thrones trivia game, and there are a number of joke questions, including, for example, one of them where every answer is Hodor. But in this particular one, the question is, what is your name? And the options are Theon Greyjoy, or Reek. The correct answer is Reek.
Of course.
Well, it's on the Ramsay Bolton card. Like, some of the cards are linked to character. Anyway.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
So, you're like, you hold up the card and you're looking at Ramsay in the face, and it's like, what is your name? And then that's, we're trying to get that thematic trivia game, right?
Yeah, I also think that's a basic lesson in test taking. If you see 2 answers that are similar and a third answer that's not, and you only have one option, you go with the one that's
it's
not.
true,
It's just
SAT
simple.
101.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Who has seen Game of Thrones? Nobody? Yeah, that show's not popular. All right, everyone's seen Game of Thrones, yes? Who hasn't seen Game of Thrones? Just so that reference is totally lost, like who's Reek, whatever, right?
Great.
Right. Well, obviously watch it. Jonathan, we have time for one last question. Another question. No other questions? Oh, that was a text. That's my wife saying good night. Oh, we have one right here. Yes.
Hi.
Pears or apples?
Oh, pears. Well, I like Asian pears, the nice, really crispy, big ones that are like the size of baseballs. Yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right. Mr. Wan, please come up. And I'm calling you Mr. Wan to show off that I know how to say your last name, unlike a Quentin Smith. Suck on that, Quinn. You're at it. All right, shots fired.
SHUX fired.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there's some claps. I love puns. Don't think you're above puns. Speaking of which, Punderdrome. Have you guys anyone ever played Punderdrome? We got a few people in here. I'm sorry, that's the one game that my partner and I play all the time, so she's really into puns. I'm talking about my partner. 7 minutes. Sir, you have 10 seconds for your resume. Go.
Sure. Hi there. Good evening. My name's Fred Wan. If you know my work at all, I was one of the heads of the story for the Legend of the Five Rings card game and role-playing game for about 12 years. The other work I do is I have the privilege of doing a little bit of work in association with the show called Extra Credits. I do work on a show called Extra Play.
All right. Very good. Yes, let's clap for that. Is it plural? Is it extra credits or extra credit?
It's Extra Credits.
It is plural. Idiot. Who here has seen extra credits? Okay, almost all of us. All right, so here, I'm gonna geek out about extra credits.
Sure.
My actual identity is not a game designer. I do design games, but I'm a full-time psychology professor.
Right.
And there's probably what I think is still the most popular episode in Extra Credits. You know what I'm about to talk about?
You're talking about the game compulsion episode?
Yes,
Yeah.
the gamification of lessons. So I've actually applied gamification into
Right.
my classrooms, and it's college classes. It still works.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, and I can talk all about that, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk
could be.
about you. We could be. We could do interview wars, but do you have stories? No pressure. But your whole basic knowledge base is how to make a story within games, right?
Right.
That's my understanding. Because some games don't have any story whatsoever. So no pressure. But this is a podcast about the stories on, around, and under the gaming table.
Yep.
Would you like to share us a best gaming story, a scary story, a story that's happened here at SHUX? Choose your adventure, sir. There's also an elevator pitch, but I don't think anyone's going to do it after.
Yeah, I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
I'm going to combine a gaming story with a story about fear.
Okay, let's do it. I love it.
So a few years ago, the only thing in gaming I had worked on was L5R, nothing else, right? So by fluke, I had a chance to meet up with the Extra Credits cast and crew. One of them said, "Do you want to do a panel next year?" And I'm like, yes, please, yes. So at that point, while I've done presentations and so on in front of crowds, I'd never done a panel-style presentation of any kind, and I'd never talked about gaming in front of a lay audience, ever, okay?
My.
So my co-host, James Portnow, who is kind of an important guy, said, "I'll bring a friend to our panel," right? And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, sure. And so we walk in, the panel is bigger than when we first opened for SHUX. So the SHUX panel,
Wow.
I think, is
but
like
not as big as this audience, of course.
Of course not.
There's
right?
not near as many.
Impossible to be as big as this audience. It's
Right,
It's a
of course.
gravitas, right? So it's like upwards of 600 people easy.
Where is this at again? Is this PAX?
PAX.
Yeah, this is
PAX
PAX.
West,
Okay,
right?
PAX West. Okay.
And then
Previously
he-
known as PAX Prime. I'm
Yeah.
showing off that I know that. All right, go on.
And he introduces his friend, who's named Ryan Scott, who's also named Morello, who is the lead designer at Riot.
Yeah, League of Legends. You guys, League of Legends? Anyone League of Legends?
And
Never heard of League? Shut up, Jonathan. League of Legends. It's a big. Any League of Legends players in here? I know we're talking video games now, and this is a board gaming convention. All right.
Taboo.
Yeah, taboo. Let me give some backstory, by the way. I'm not going to be kind of League of Legends. It's a great game. Most toxic player base ever.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Anytime I'm thinking good about humanity, I'm like, people are pretty good. I think we're going in the right direction.
Log on, read the Reddit comments.
Yeah, then I just go on League of Legends and hear how much garbage I am and how I should do horrible things to myself, right? So anyways.
Well, you logged on.
I logged on.
You
That
did do
was-
horrible things to yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
there we go. But anyways, League of Legends is still one of the most popular.
I
if
think
not
it's still the most played game.
it's the most played game, period, online. So big deal. So sorry, context.
So I'm like, okay, I want to do more work and share my passion for gaming generally with a whole bunch of other people. I really shouldn't screw this up.
Right.
And I've never done this before.
Speak in public at all.
Well, speak in public, I do a lot because my day job involves, like, I'm a lawyer.
Oh.
So
I
I'm
didn't
okay
know.
with that, but I'd never talked about gaming stuff in front of an audience that wasn't an L5R fan base.
Right.
And I'm like, how is everyone going to respond, right? Like, and are they going to think, who's that kid next to these two guys? Because I look young, right?
Yeah.
And
I will admit, you still look young. I don't
Yeah.
know how long ago was this?
oh, how many cats did I have to sacrifice? It was only like 5 years ago.
Only 5 years ago?
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
So I was petrified, and I'm like, don't let it show, don't let it show, don't let it show. Panel went through. Obviously, I did so terribly, they won't let me at any other con other than SHUX now.
Are you serious?
No.
No, you're totally playing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because
Yeah,
you're
right.
part of the. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
right.
I'm sorry
Because
that I didn't pick that up.
actually,
I'm dumb, like I
met
said.
Jonathan. I met Jonathan through James,
Okay.
and I met Paul through Jonathan.
And
Right.
thus the cycle's complete and why you're at SHUX right
Exactly,
now.
right?
Nice.
But it all came down to, I'm really uncomfortable, and I have to be comfortable with the fact that I'm uncomfortable and have to perform anyways.
Right.
So, fear, gaming story, ends up here at SHUX.
Nice. Yeah!
Yeah.
You're doing it now.
Yeah.
I think the always awkward thing, it's almost like when you go to see a comedian. it's really uncomfortable when someone struggles and is awkward as a comedian because you feel their pain. And I think a lot of us, I mean, we're going to have one of the biggest empaths I know coming up. Isaac is one of our stars. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm already geeking over Isaac. But you see it and you think, oh my goodness, please be funnier. Please do well. And so any squirming totally transmits over there. But that's part of the growing process.
Well, absolutely, right? Like, you have to be willing to stretch, and you have to be willing to be a little bit uncomfortable some of the time, because that's how you stretch your boundaries. But it's really hard in the moment.
Yeah. Number one fear in the world, you know what it is?
You're the psychology guy.
I am. Thank you for remembering that. Yes, it's actually speaking in public. That isn't a lie. Seinfeld did a joke where
really?
people are more scared of speaking in public than death itself, which means, and this is a Seinfeld joke, I'm not clever for this. You guys know the joke that I'm about to talk about? You'd rather be the one in the coffin than the one giving the eulogy. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
way to overcome that.
Oh,
Very nice.
Working on it still.
All right, I have questions
Sure thing.
for you, if you guys don't mind, and then we'll go for questions there. So you're the story man, basically, and I know that's
Yep.
a weird, really oversimplified explanation. Are you currently working on a story that none of us have heard of?
There are a few, because I do a lot of contract work with like RPG companies and video game companies. So
Right.
sometimes, like right now, there are a few stories you guys literally haven't heard of because they don't exist yet.
Right.
Or
Ignore the duck. Answer the question.
so yes, absolutely.
All right. Non-disclosure agreements on those stories? Meaning, that's a NDA, obviously. Are you allowed to tell us?
I can talk about them, but I can't give you specifics.
10 seconds,
Sure.
give us one that we're probably going to be like, oh my goodness, we know the guy who wrote that story.
Probably can't do that yet. I've got
Okay.
like some upcoming RPG material where they just said, here, make this team make sense, and they're based on the real world UN and how they would be restricted if they were actually doing superhuman police in other countries, rather than the typical example of the Justice League and Avengers say, oh, you're a foreign nation? Well, tough.
Ah.
So what would happen if you were police or a worldwide super team, but you actually had to say, oh, they don't want us here. What do we do? He has a hand up.
Yeah, what's
got
up?
Mm-hmm.
If he guesses what it is. Or you're
Probably
about to
not on, you can ask me after.
Yeah. We'll do the show notes. We'll put all the contact information and all the reveals outside of what we talk about here. It'll be fantastic. So, all right. And hey, thank you so much, Fred. Yes. All right. We have time for one last guest. So, Isaac, come on up, Isaac. Isaac Vega. Okay. Isaac, we know each other a little bit, yes?
A little bit.
A little bit,
little
yeah.
bit.
Isaac's one of my dearest friends. We hang out every con. We always make a point to at least hang out for a while, just
Yes.
one-on-one.
I need a little bit of my Allen time away from all of you.
Yeah, and a little bit of Isaac time as well. All right, so Isaac, you ready for your audio interview?
Yes.
Or resume. Here we go. Go.
My name is Isaac Vega. I am the VP of Research and Design at Plaid Hat Games. I have done multiple designs for the company, Dead of Winter, Ashes, City of Remnants, BioShock, Video Game High School, and my most recent thing that's coming out next year is Starship Samurai.
Starship Samurai. That was 10 seconds. That was legit.
That's
That
right.
was I
That's
didn't have to
right.
go over it all. Very nice work. Yeah. So this is the funny thing with being friends with Isaac. We walk the shows together a lot, and so side by side, we're trying to go out to eat or something, trying to go to an elevator. Inevitably, we get stopped no less than, I think the fewest has been like 3 times. And they're like, oh my goodness, Isaac, hey, it's so good. And just like shoulders turned to me and everything like that. I totally get it. What do you think your biggest deal is? Like, what are you most known for? Like, oh my goodness, what do people come up for and say, that game is amazing?
Dead of Winter is definitely the thing that people, most everybody knows in the industry. If they haven't played it, they've heard of it. And then Ashes fans like love me in a very so much. So it's really nice. So it's one or the other usually. I don't really have too many of my other titles being brought up, but sometimes.
So, Dead of Winter and Ashes.
Yeah.
Now, this sounds awkward. In my hotel room today, we had a conversation about Ash. That was today or yesterday? Time has no meaning. Was that yesterday or today?
Oh my God, I have no idea.
Oh my goodness,
What
that's
is
so
going on?
scary. Like, when did we hang
It was
out?
a dream.
It was a dream. You told me the story of Ashes, and I know this is supposed to be choose your own adventure, so you can totally veto this, but who here knows the story of his game Ashes? Nobody? No, not a one person knows the story of Ashes? It's actually really good. So we just had Fred up, who's the story man.
Oh, okay.
And we talked about, you want to tell the story of Ashes?
Sure. So in the world of Ashes, you are playing these characters known as Phoenixborn. And the Phoenixborn, what I wanted to do is kind of ground them in some sort of history. One of my favorite stories, again, we'll bring it up, Game of Thrones, is a world that feels so rich in history. So when I approached Ashes, I wanted to make sure there was some depth, some history there in order to kind of give them a little bit more life to the characters and make me understand them a little bit more as well.
Because like in Game of Thrones, you totally feel like, oh, there's stuff going on besides what we're seeing, which is why it's awesome and why you need to see it if you haven't been watching it, people over here who haven't seen it. But anyway, it's a living world is what they call it.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, cool.
So in Ashes, I wanted to have all the characters kind of have some sort of connection, some reason as to why everybody thinks they're so badass and so awesome and stuff like that. So I wanted to have this event that happened 40 years in the past in which all of these characters came together and kind of saved the world from this chimera menace that was taking over the planet. It was pretty much these monsters that were coming up against these cities, and the people pretty much had to wall themselves off for years and years and years, and it kind of ruined all of their economy and society and stuff like that until the Phoenixborn kind of started coming along. So these great warriors were able to come together and defeat all of the chimera off of the planet and have been kind of taken over as these kind of like demigods, and they're really appreciated, and they kind of rule the cities now and stuff like that. And now we got to this point where this kind of prophecy is taking place in which they all find out that they're actually pieces of a god. And they're
Of a phoenix, right?
Of a phoenix.
Hence the term Phoenixborn.
And so they are ashes, essentially, of a phoenix in which they are trying to fight in order to come back together as this one god. But they know that the person that wins is going to be the embodiment of
like
that.
the hive mind. So whoever
Exactly.
controls the phoenix is the one. So you're fighting.
Right. So you're all fighting to kind of take over and become that, but a lot of them are conflicted because of this, because they have these friendships with these people that they essentially saved the world with. They were superheroes. They were friends. Some of them were buddies, and some of them are fine with taking this path. So it's really interesting to be able to craft the characters from that aspect, because it gave me different ways in how they would react to the war and how they would react to fighting against their friends.
Gotcha. Now, my main question is, who wrote this?
It was just me making
Yeah,
it
it was Isaac. So very cool, very cool. So game designer, and you went ahead and did that. But now I'll allow you to choose an adventure if you want. You want to take some questions, or do you have a scary story, a SHUX story?
I want to interview you.
You want interview wars?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Okay.
So,
I'm ready.
hello, Alan. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Looking lovely as usual.
Thank you. Thank you. I will take any compliment you give me. I appreciate it. Yes.
Oh, well, what I wanted to ask you today is
Yes.
what is one of your most embarrassing stories in this industry?
Okay.
Like, I have a few of those as well, like high tension moments. You know, for the most part, things are pretty casual, but there's moments in which we get in situations in which, oh God, I wish I wouldn't have done that. You know, kind of
Okay.
stuff.
All right. This is the story, and it involves Colby. Colby
Of
Dow,
course.
as I call him. And who's Colby?
Colby is our studio manager at Plaid Hat Games.
Plaid Hat Games. So I've made 2 Rooms and a Boom, and this sounds really weird, but Sean and I are looking at each other. Sean, my co-designer, and my co-business owner of 2 Rooms and Tuesday Night Games, and we think, oh my goodness, we made it, because we're getting invited to these parties that we never even heard about before, and they're between like the designers and the publishers and things. And so we're going to Chad Hoveter's party. And this is at BoardGameGeek.com. That was weird. That's programmed in me.
BGG-Con.
Yeah, BGG-Con. Thank you. So we're going there. Here's the backstory. See if I can do this without wasting too much time. The backstory is Sean and I met through a game called Mage Wars. Mage Wars is by Arcane Wonders, and Mage Wars is about sorcerers summoning creatures and fighting each other, and it takes place in a realm called, I think, Etheria or Ethereum. Anyways,
I wouldn't know.
You
I'm
would know. All
forbidden
right,
to
it's
play
like
it.
I don't remember. He's forbidden. Right. So, anyways, this is Mage Wars, and we met this way because Sean did a lot of the art directing and other things with that game, and then they hired me to do their tutorial videos. So if you go on to Mage Wars and you want to learn how to play Mage Wars, there I am. Let's fast forward a little bit. We're on our way carpooling to this party with all these designers, and we're in the car with Colby. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Colby. Here's the other weird thing about Colby. Sorry, Colby. I met Colby 6 times. He didn't remember me until the 7th time. Every year I'm like, hey. Anyway, so I'm sitting there with Colby, and I make a joke, and I say, hey, Colby, you're going to love the next game we're coming out. It's called Dungeon Fun. And the joke was that we were going to rip off his game, Dungeon Run, which had just come out recently at the time. And he says, don't joke. That stuff really happens. And I say, oh man, it sounds like you're speaking from experience. He says, yeah, you know my game Summoner Wars? He's like, yeah, where 2 wizards go ahead and they fight head to head and they summon creatures to fight each other on a board. Summoner Wars? It's like, yeah, I totally know. He's like, have you ever heard of a game called Mage Wars? And I was like, oh snap, like, maybe? He didn't even realize that they were there. And it was this awkward, embarrassing thing where I was with Sean like, do we tell him that we are totally part of like the Mage Wars crew and that's how we met and we branched off from Mage Wars? And Sean said, no. And I said, you're right, we probably shouldn't. Hey, Colby, Sean was totally part of Mage Wars. Yeah, so that was probably one of the most embarrassing times there. So anyway, interesting story that I probably shouldn't have shared, and now I'm realizing. So maybe the new story is
I get all the good stuff.
yeah, sharing this story. It's like we're comfortable, and I'm just talking to Isaac. Very good question, sir. Very good question. Should we take it to the audience then in the last minutes we have?
Sure.
All right,
Why
we
not?
only have like 2 more minutes, is my understanding. Any audience questions whatsoever? Otherwise, I'm going to ask you questions. Let's hear it, Jonathan. So Jonathan asked, who are you asking, Isaac or me? Isaac. The question is, who do I play in Street Fighter? Street Fighter 2. A little known fact about Alan Gerding is I used to compete in Street Fighter 2 competitions way back when I was a kid, and I was the only one that made it to the finals in the Northwest Ohio region, which means nothing. I was the only person there that controlled Blanca. Everyone else was either Guile or Rue, and I was the only one who was Blanca. I got my ass kicked right away and was out pretty much first round, but I did make it to the finals. So thanks for asking. The more you know, the more you grow.
I was not a competitive Street Fighter, unfortunately. Oh, not in the game.
Not
On
in the game.
Real streets.
Nice.
No.
Nice.
All right. I played Cammy and Bison because I didn't know what I was doing.
So this predated when you could be Cammy, by the way.
I couldn't play Vega because I had 2 brothers also with the last name Vega.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 references. Wow, we talked about video games. Any other questions in the audience that we can take?
Ooh. Okay, I don't know if I can hit this in 2 minutes. I will try. It's also with Colby. So we were meeting up with the people that did like the digital implementation of Summoner Wars.
Right. Oh, the question was, what's the most embarrassing story
Yes.
in case they didn't get it over?
Yes,
Sorry.
and I was like, this was my first like big boy meeting in the design world. So I was like, oh, I gotta impress these guys. I gotta be good. Like they need to know who I am. So we had just come back from this dinner, and this was like the first time I think I'd ever worn a tie. We were at Origins. We came back from the steak place at Origins, and I think I wore a tie to the dinner, and I was like super nervous, and everything had went really well, and I was just like walking down the street, and we were all talking, and then I get hit by an egg. What? Yes. And I was just like, there's these college guys just driving by, and they threw a whole bunch of eggs at me, and I don't know why.
I don't know. I don't want to laugh.
And I was just like, inside I was dying, but I was just like trying to play cool. It's like, it's just an egg, no problem. But I was just like, oh God, why right now? This has never happened before. So that was one of my like first like most embarrassing moments that luckily I didn't do anything, but it just like inside I was crumbling. So
Well, we're out of time, unfortunately, but before we go, keep in mind we left feedback forms for you, and what I'll do is on the way out, you hand me those feedback forms, and I'm going to give you a special gift. So it's a game. Don't get weirded out. It's Duel. If you already own Duel, I'll give you something else. All right. Hey, with that being said, I think this episode of the Tuesday Night Podcast is...
finished.
Oh, look, enough people knew what to do. That was great. And even not, contextually, you should have known. Thank you so much, all my guests. Thank you guys so much for being for the Tuesday Night Podcast. This is so awesome. Thank you so much.